Hey, hope you guys are doing great. Thank you for joining me on my way to work today, keeping me company. I appreciate that. Today we're going to be talking about time vampires. Bit of an odd one, hey? Vampires in general. But we're also going to be talking about like busyness versus productive. And I was out with friends the other day, and they were saying you should do a chat about, are you using your time wisely? Are you using it well, basically? And it got me thinking, because there's loads of things that I do, there's loads of things that everyone does, and they say that they're super busy. And I think business owners have a real issue with this. They almost wear it like, in fact, I don't think it's just business owners. I think it's everybody. They use busy as like a thing to be proud of, right? I work so hard today. I work like 20 hours, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, yeah, that's not necessarily a good thing. Like, you shouldn't necessarily be proud of that. Do you know what I mean? But we all do it. But most of the time when people say that, I'm like, how did you spend those hours? Like, because if that was 20 hours of productive work, like, I mean, full on, you're going all out, every single thing that you did was driving you towards your goals, then that's awesome. But I know it's never that. Ever. Right? Half the time you're tired and wiped out and are just kind of playing around on Facebook. That's an hour wasted. Half the time it's someone else picking up the phone, calling you, distracting you from something. Like, you're never actually getting work done that's driving you towards your goals. And I think that's the real key here. And people like using their time well is make sure that everything you're doing, hold yourself accountable. Make sure that everything you're doing is taking you a step closer towards your goals. So what do I mean by this? So like checking emails 24/7 is not a good use of your time. Doesn't matter who you are, right? If I think I can't remember what the exact stat was, but if you're working on a project, right, you're working on something, every time you get distracted, it's at least 11 minutes the time it takes to get back onto that task. At least. I think I've seen something that said as much as 20 minutes. Well, if it takes 11 to 20 minutes to get back onto the task that you were focusing on, right, how often do you get an email? Right, or a Facebook notification, or something ding on your phone? Right, I can guarantee it's more than every 11 minutes, right? Or very frequently. So if every time that goes off and it takes you 11 to 20 minutes to get back into your work, you're never going to get anything done. That's the kind of day where you feel like you get to the end of the day and you're like, I've been busy all day, but what have I accomplished? What have I done? Do you ever have days like that? I think we all do, right? So, for like, as an example, like for social networks, emails, like turn your phone off, turn the notifications of your phone off, like don't be accessible to everyone 24/7. I know that can sound scary, but it's not your responsibility to be there 24/7 for everybody else. Right? Your responsibility is to get whatever the project work, whatever the thing is that you need to get done to drive you and your business forwards. So turn that off, turn the emails off. And by the way, that's what I mean by time vampires. Like, those are vampires. The emails, the social networks, things that the people that come and knock on your door and they say, have you got a minute? Because it's never a minute, right? Ever. It's, first of all, even if it was just a minute, it's 11 minutes to get back into what you were doing. That's gone. But it's also, actually, they take 5 minutes, 10 minutes of your time. Now, if that happens 2 or 3 times a day, like, your time's just disappearing, right? Time vampires. So have a look. What are the time vampires in your day? Is it your emails, your social networks? Like, are you the type of person that goes on to post something? Because you should on Facebook, on social media. But that takes 30 seconds. And yet, 20 minutes later, you're still watching videos on Facebook, or you're still, like, just cruising through people's profiles. Right? Not a good use of your time, right? Now, if you're consuming content that you've set aside time to consume content for it, sure, whatever, or set aside time for, like, I always tell people, like, be strict with your time. So, like, take that time for emails, check your emails 3 times a day. More if you need to, but check them in batches. So go, right, at 10 a.m, that's the first time I'm going to check my emails, and I've got half an hour to respond to all of them. Right? Then turn them off. Check them again at 2. 2 till 2 today, turn them off. Check them again just before you go home. Right, so you're using set time to respond to that. Same for your social network. Go, right, I'll log on at whatever time. I'll spend 20 minutes. That's my max time that I allow for it to respond to any notifications. If there's no notifications, anything on there that you need to do, turn it off. Right, stop. And then go and do a task that's actually going to help you get closer to your goal. And that's the question, right? Do you know? Like, that's the first question. Do you know what you need to be doing to drive you closer to your goal? Do you? Because it ain't sitting around on your emails all day, 24/7. So that's the first thing. Like, and this is how I would start each day. Write down the one thing that's going to help you achieve your goal, or take you closer to achieving your goal. And that's what you've got to get done. Right? That's the thing that you focus on. That's the project that's due for that day. The thing that you need to do to drive your business forward. Right? That's your project work. Most of the time we faff around on emails and other stuff because we don't really know what we're supposed to be doing. So like those are your time vampires. Watch out for those time vampires. Make sure they're not taking time out of your day, and restrict them. And yeah, it's hard to not be there 24/7 because that's what we've got used to, right? Your phone rings, you pick it up, you answer. You know, you don't have to actually do that. You know that, right? If the phone rings, you don't actually have to answer. You don't even have to acknowledge that it's ringing. And yes, that may upset somebody, but like, get back to them later on. Right? It's not, most of the time my phone's on silent because I don't want to be distracted by the dinging and everything going on. Set your times for your calls. Say, right, I'll check my phone at 11 and I'll respond to any calls, messages, etc. Right? Set time for it. Don't just be a slave to your phone 24/7. Anything else I can talk to you about? Are using your time wisely, using your time productively? Yeah, I think that's the whole thing, right? So busyness versus productive. Are you just being busy the whole day? Because that's not, you get to the end of the day and just feel like you haven't accomplished anything. Or are you being productive? Because if you're being productive, that's when you know you're getting stuff done. Right? That's when the stuff you're getting done is actually leading you towards your goal, which is a really good feeling. So I think that's the main lesson from today. Watch out for time vampires. Make sure that they're not taking up all your day, and if they are, restrict that time. Right? If you do get can I have a minute of your time? Just be like, hey, I'm going to set aside time for people to catch up with me, and it's going to be 1 o'clock, straight after lunch each day. I've got an hour that I'll set aside for catching up with the team, or whatever it is. Right? Set boundaries, and set people laugh at me because they look at my calendar and they're like, Chris, every hour of your day is blocked out for something. And I'm like, yeah, absolutely. I need to hold myself accountable to what I'm doing. But also I know, right, this is my time to check emails. This is my time to do project work. This is my time to dive in and do, reading, right? If something that's important to me is reading each day and making sure that I spend a bit of time learning and growing each and every day, it's factored into my diary. Because if it isn't there, I won't do it. So, build your diary out. Factor in all the times that you're going to set aside for these projects, these tasks, whatever it is you're going to do, and focus on being productive. Ask yourself that one question: is this helping me achieve my goal? Is it taking me closer to my goal? Or what's the one thing I need to do today that's going to help me get closer to my goal? There we have it. That's all I got for you today, guys. Thank you for joining me on my way to work, and I'll be catching you up soon. Look out for tomorrow's podcast. It's a good one, and and if you haven't already, come and join the podcast community group. Just search Entrepreneur Playbook Podcast Community, and you'll find the group. Come and join in. Come and join in the fun, the conversation. I look forward to seeing you soon. Laters. Bye.